Gretchen, thank you so much for your time this morning. Talk to us a little bit about STEM Seeds. How exactly does it work?
Well, STEM Seeds is a resource that we've made available to every ECD practitioner and teacher and parent in this country. It's free for download at Play Africa's website. And how it works is it helps really build this idea for educators that STEM is a way of thinking and doing. When we talk about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths, we often talk about those in the terms of professions and careers. But the reality is STEM learning starts from birth, and we want to help nurture the next generation of scientists, technologists, engineers, and mathematicians by starting early. And we do that by empowering ECD practitioners to build those skills through a range of different materials.
Yeah, I mean, we're speaking about how you start off with the ECD centers as well, and a lot of the conversation has been around how we need to look at ECD centers being more formalized, moving from, for example, social development into now the education space, so that when you do have the introduction of such STEM seeds, that it's been facilitated through into children in a more cohesive kind of manner. How do you see that playing out, and are you advocating for that to happen so we can have a more formalized structure with the way which we teach young people?
I think research in South Africa and beyond is showing that play is how children are learning, and so that we are recognizing the importance of stimulating powerful, playful opportunities from an early age. So what we're doing with STEM Seeds is we're trying to really work with ECD practitioners and boost their skills and their confidence to introduce STEM learning in those classrooms. We know that there are many ECD practitioners who are working under very resource-constrained conditions, and we're showing them how, through the STEM Seeds material, how they can turn any single classroom without any special materials, just using natural materials or recycled materials, into STEM centers where they can teach children through playful learning how to observe, experiment, investigate, compare, sort, and build. These are skills that are really valuable for children as they become school ready. And I think this is in line with what the change is happening that's now going into the Department of Basic Education. We're looking at school readiness and preparing children through play to become lifelong learners and engaged, curious learners, because when children are playing, they're learning.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about, unfortunately, the realities that exist between the boy child and the girl child. We're finding that more and more we see women not necessarily participating as much, especially when it comes to science and mathematics. Many would say it's a societal construct where we don't encourage that amongst our girls. We tell our girls to play with Barbie dolls and to make playhouses, and then we give our boys the ability for them to actually stop becoming curious within the science, the tech, and start working with technical skills. How then do we facilitate that kind of conversation into these ECD centers so that when they are championing this, when they are engaging with STEM Seeds, you don't find the girls sitting by the corner and they're not paying attention, and you find the boys that are actively participating in class?
You're absolutely right, which is why we decided to launch this free resource for educators on the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Because the reality is parents, mothers and fathers, as well as ECD practitioners, the majority of whom are women, are the child's first teacher. So the first indication that the child will have, a girl child or a boy child will have, about whether or not they are cut out for science will start with those early educators. So we wanted to build the confidence of those early childhood development practitioners, some of whom told us that they weren't comfortable in math and science themselves. We said, you already have what it takes to teach children science in your early childhood development classroom. And so we've really integrated gender parity and gender equality in our thinking about this, and activated those early childhood development practitioners, the vast majority of whom are women, to say that you are a STEM teacher and you are a science teacher. And if we can break the stereotypes and the self-limiting self-belief for women educators to not pass that along to the next generation, we believe we're going to be able to make a big difference in helping girl children to understand that they, just as well as their boy counterparts, can actively come alive through curiosity in science.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a fantastic tool to actually have and be able to champion it. How far wide are you spreading it? Because I will tell you right now, Gretchen, the reality is when it comes to education in the South African context needs more innovation, more practicality, and the ability to implement science. So one thing to learn the theoretical component, but how the theoretical component translates into real life.
Absolutely. And I think what I want to emphasize, Faith, is that we have all the confidence in the ECD practitioner, the parents, the primary school educator to start doing these activities now. And that's why we created STEM Seeds to be a really packed resource full of really good ideas of how to implement STEM learning in a daily routines in your classroom. It is aligned with the National Curriculum Framework for birth to 4 years old for early childhood development, but it's also aligned to CAP's curriculum. So we know that educators across the spectrum, up to age 10 and beyond, can start to access some of these tools and routines to already do to add to what they're already doing using the skills and the resources they already have. So we want this to be a really exciting innovation for education in South Africa, and we've made it freely available to download at Play Africa's website because we want it to reach every single rural ECD center, every rural school, and let people know that they can access these tools and routines and materials, as well as lesson plans, teacher support, other materials that they can use right away. The reality is kids are doing STEM all the time when they are testing water in the bath and how it flows and what things float, how things roll down a ramp, starting a rock collection and sorting rocks by different shape, texture, and size. That's STEM and that's science. And we want to really equip children for the future through these skills by building on them, like you say.
Gretchen, I wish you and I could spend an entire day talking about this. It certainly is a passion for the both of us. And I do thank you for just enlightening us on the significance of STEM Seeds. Fantastic, fabulous innovation there. That's Gretchen Wilson-Prangley, CEO of the Play Africa Children's Museum, joining us.